Welcome to Connected Conversations. I'm really grateful that you're here and sharing your time. If you like the conversation that you hear, please like it and share. I'm Emma from Unique Phoenix. I'm a soul coach, energy healer, well-being guide, and an unapologetic, curious soul. Connected Conversations is here to bring love, healing, and connection to our everyday lives through open and authentic conversations. Every single conversation, I'm privileged to interview women and men in our communities that are here being their authentic selves, sharing their unique talents with the world around them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we can get to know them and what they offer much better.
Hi there, I'm Christy Johnson and I'm from Clarify My Journey. I have been doing spiritual work all my life, and I started my business not only to help others, well, mainly to help others, but I do different modalities when I do this work with people. So I use tarot cards, I use oracle cards, I'm a psychic medium and a healer, so I use Reiki and many other different things. I also do hand analysis, which is a great way to tell you your life path, your life lessons. It really does give you an intricate view of that internal person that you are. So it tells you why you do the things that you do, it tells you your lessons, your life purpose, so many other different things. So it's a great way to sort of really get to know yourself again and really understand why we do the things that we do. The tarot cards, they are very good at clarifying journeys and giving you some guidance and some answers. And the healing is a great way to clear energy, because we all know we absorb not only our own energy, but others as well. So, and in these times, it's really, really important to sort of, maintain the body, maintain the energy and clear it, shift it and rejuvenate it so that we can actually feel our very, very best.
Hey, welcome to Connected Conversations, here to bring healing, love, and connection to our everyday lives through open and authentic conversations. I am pretty pumped to have Christy Johnson with me today from Clarify Your Journey. She's a psychic medium, a healer, spiritual development guide, and she is absolutely passionate about helping people connect to themselves through spirituality, through healing, and to guide them and provide clarity for her clients. Not only is she a really amazing healer and psychic medium, but she's also one of my dearest friends. So, whoop, whoop. This is a really hard job for me today, just so you're all clear, hanging out with one of my dearest girlfriends and talking about the amazing work that she does. Thanks so much for sharing your time with me today, Anna.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So I actually want to start with your background.
Sure.
I want to understand how this all came about, because, I've worked with you and, I get readings from Christy as well. Mm. And they're always really bang on. Although I will say this, right? Because I'm a really powerful manifester, I often put pauses on and it's like my own energy, putting like a pause on what's come through from you. So it's quite often like Christy might give me a 6-month reading, and I can guarantee you in a year's time something comes up that I go, because that's just how I can energetically put things on hold, which I am learning. Yeah. So it's interesting when I do readings with you, because I can look and go, that's just coming up now. Yeah. Because I've, I put a pushback on it.
100%.
And gone, no, that's not happening. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And the universe goes, suck it. Mm-hmm. It's happening anyway. So when I'm least concentrating on it, the universe then shows me that it's happening anyway. So I want to know how you got into it.
Okay. So how I got into it, I guess the best way to describe it is that my tarot cards that I still use today, I had since I was 10. So I bought them with my first pocket money that my mum gave me. So that was pretty cool. Like, I didn't know.
10, that's awesome.
And I still use them today. They're my trustees.
Hang on, what cards are they?
They're Mystic Meg. They're not. They don't make them anymore.
I was going to say that's.
Yeah.
Well, you're younger than me, so I was going to say it's a while ago. If I'm 10.
But no, I remember my mum going to Fountain Gate in a big bookstore. I think it was QB something or something. I don't
QBD
maybe, or it might have even been like a Dimmicks, or I don't know. It was on the corner. I remember going into this massive bookstore, and I think it was the only one Fountain Gate had at the time. And my mum went off to look at her romance novels or whatever she wanted to look at. And off I went into this section, and I just went, "Can I buy these?" And she's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just want to play with them. They're a game." And she's like, "Oh, all right." So I bought them with my money, and I used the old
pocket money.
It's my pocket money, please. So she let me do it, and so we bought those, and as I say, I still use them today. So it's pretty fabulous how it all worked out. But then I learnt later. I remember my mum. She used to get people from her work who I'd never ever met in my life. She'd hear me say things, and she'd be like, "How does she know that?" Or I'd say, "This lady's here, and her name's this, and she does this, and blah blah blah." She'd be like, "Oh my goodness, that's my auntie, or that's my mum." And I never knew my grandparents or any of my family. They all lived in Scotland.
Wow.
So I didn't know anybody. And so she would sort of go, "This is a bit strange." And then what happened was she started getting, when I got my tarot cards, she started getting the people from her work to come over, and I'd do their cards. But I think it was just a game. I thought it was a game.
Cheeky mama bear, that's great.
She's like, "I just want you to see if you think she has anything, because I think she does." And anyway, they would all be like,
How old were you at this stage?
10.
Yeah. No way.
Yeah. So I just bought my cards. I might have had them a couple of weeks.
Entertainment, Mum. Look at that.
Yeah.
Already doling you out.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, she just wanted to see, because she's like, maybe I'm being a bit biased. Maybe I'm not, let's just see where it comes from and what other people think. And I guess she just wanted a little bit of clarification and confirmation as well. And it all made sense later down the track. But so they would walk away and they'd be like, "Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Yes, she doesn't know any of that stuff. And yes, that's all true, and blah, blah, blah." And my mum would be like, "Okay." And I'd be quite into seances with my friends. So we used to do seances too. So did I. I used to cut up numbers and letters, and we'd make them, or we'd have a board, and we'd do tiles. We'd do anything to make a Ouija board.
Same.
And we had a few scary moments in the house with that. We were talking about that the other day with my mum, actually. But with the cards, so I would do their cards, and then I would push them back for them to do mine, because I genuinely thought it was a game. Like, I'll do you, then you play for me, and we just sort of went back and forth. And then they would come to a point where they'd be like, "No, I can't do it." I'm like, no, the instructions are in there, like, can. And they're like, "No, we can't." And I'm like, okay. So that's when my mum actually sat me down and said, "Look, I think you've got something, blah, blah, blah." And
as in, no, let's not do the blah, blah, blah on that. So your mum actually recognised that you had a gift and that you were connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I really didn't understand what it meant. So to me, it was a bit like blah, blah, blah. I was like,
well, you haven't been raised in that. I mean, my kids would understand, your kids would understand, but they've been raised around it.
Exactly right.
I'm called a weird hippie with my teenagers, but my youngest is all for it. I'm pretty sure if I handed her a deck of cards,
well, my kids have done it. Yeah, my kids love it. My daughter calls us the reading girls. She's only 6. My teenage daughter, she's dabbled in it, but obviously she's a teenager, so that's a little. It's been put to the side a little bit. But I guess. And then my mum explained later, and the reason why I said it all made sense is because my mum and her sisters, my nana and her sisters, so my mum's mum, they used to sit around and do a lot of seances, but they also they were quite famous in Scotland, and they used to read tea leaves. So they were the famous, witchy tea leaf readers. Ooh. And they'd go to spiritualist church and all this sort of stuff. And so my mum was quite frightened of it all. So she shut it completely down, because there were some really bad things that happened.
Because you do have to be aware. I was going to say that about seances. I used to love them as well. However, the challenge was that depending on who you invited in.
Of course.
So I remember there was a couple of girls that used to come and do seances with us, and some really weird stuff happened in our house after. And it wasn't until some old lady, from church, just recognized something in me and just started talking to me about calling spirits in. And I was like, oh my God, why are we having this conversation? Young. I was only like 11 or 12 or something, so I didn't really understand.
Yeah.
And she just said to me, be careful who you call them in with.
Yeah, it's true.
So the next time we did it, I didn't invite these two. I don't know why. I just went, I'm not inviting these two girls. And then we had a very different seance.
Yeah.
Like it was fun, and it was you know, like some funny things happened, and, you know, like my hair got flicked, and I was like, who flicked my hair?
Oh, wow.
But it was just fun, like it just letting us know.
Yeah.
And nothing happened in the house afterwards. So it was contained in just that, you know, that space of doing the seance.
Which is good.
What you want.
Yeah, exactly right. That's all you want. You want to open it, play, shut it.
Yeah.
You know, close it down and walk away. But yeah, I remember this one night we had this spirit, and her name was Wendy, and she was a young girl. I think she was 16 at the time, or 15, and she'd had a car accident, and her mum felt very guilty because her mum was driving. And anyway, in the seance, she read out the phone number to ring, and it was an 08 number, so it was Perth. And I said, do you live in Perth? Yes. Anyway, tried to ring the number, it was disconnected, so she must have changed her number in this meantime, the mum, because this had happened, I think it was like 8 years before.
Okay.
So when we tried to dial the number, her mum didn't answer. It said this call is disconnected, this phone number is disconnected. And so we went back and we said, look, it's disconnected, we've tried, blah blah. Anyway, this glass, I don't know if you remember those old tables, but my mum had one, and it was like it flipped in the middle and it went bigger, expanded.
Yes.
Well, we had one of those, so it was expanded, it was quite large. Anyway, the glass just kept going from side to side. No one's touching it, no one's doing anything. She was so angry with us. Anyway, that night my friend stayed at my house, and my dad got up, and he's not a believer in any of this. He was a bit, you know, like, he's very like direct and down the line. So he's
like, what is this shit?
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, just stop this crap, Christy. Right, okay. But yeah, so he got up the next day, and when he got back from work, he said to me, like, that was ridiculous. You know, you're not having friends stay for a while. Rah, rah. I said, why? What's wrong? He's like, you were knocking on my door, coming into my room, running up and down the stairs, banging on everything. And I'm like, we were asleep by 12. And he's like, no, this was at 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. He said, I've had no sleep. He was so angry and thought it was us. And then we had to admit that we did a seance, which we weren't allowed to do. So, but yeah.
I mean, what kid doesn't do so? I still do things I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Oh, absolutely.
And my mum was... They're a guide. They're a guide.
That's right.
So then, can we fast forward a little bit?
Sure.
Because that's throughout your childhood. Was there any point where you kind of shut that down?
Yes, all through my childhood, pretty much. After that, there was a period where I did it for a little bit, and then I would say through my teenage years, I shut it down.
Wow.
Yeah, and then
were you still getting like the connection? Were you getting anything? Or just
sometimes? No, it would be very minor things. So it'd be like, oh, you know, this is gonna, you know, did you do this? And they're like, no. And then like they'd ring me half an hour later and said, that just happened. How did you know that was going to happen? So very little slight things. There was nothing major or big information. It was just, I'd be like, don't go there, you'll get hit by the car. Come off the road. All of a sudden this car goes out of control past. Things like that. So, but it wasn't anything, it was little spurts at a time, and it would be very, very far apart. So
yeah, I
wouldn't say I felt connected, but there were still times where if I needed it, it would come through. So it would say, don't go tonight, or don't do this, or don't do that. And I would listen.
So when did you start letting it, like when did you just start stepping into it and allowing it?
It's a funny story, but I've got 4 children, ranging from 16 to 6. And with each child, it became more and more prevalent.
Well, because your body was like releasing that tension of not owning it.
Yeah.
So, of course, you had less resistance,
correct,
so to speak.
Yeah. And I knew that, and look, it's not that I wanted to go into it, but it was quite funny. I'd start getting phone calls from people asking me if I could do a reading for them, and I've never advertised readings, never told anyone I wanted to do readings, and all of a sudden I was getting like 4 calls a week about readings. So that was the universe's way of saying, you need to do this. Because I don't even know how they got my number. They're like, oh, I don't know, I've had it for a little while. I just thought I'd ring and get a reading. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing them. And then what happened was, I don't know if you ever had sleep paralysis. No. Okay, so I used to get sleep paralysis, which is where you get lifted up to the ceiling and your whole body is in paralysis mode. So you can't move, you can't feel anything, but you can see everything. So you look down, I could see my husband lying there, but I tried to scream and there was nothing coming out. So and it's quite scary, because especially if you like to be in control, this is a very, very scary moment where you are completely bound and trapped essentially in your own body. And then you would all get dropped back down. And this one time I remember my husband was pushing me into doing readings when these phone calls were coming through, and I was like, No, I don't think I want to do them. I've got, kids. I don't know if I want to do this. And this is after, I think it was my second that this all started. And anyway, then what happened was I was in a dream, and I remember it so clearly. And it was almost like, cliche, getting drawn up into the white light. And it was like a tunnel, and it was like white light. And I'm holding on. I knew I was dying. I knew that I was getting called up to spirit world. I knew it. And I was trying to hold on and not go. And I'm like, I've just had a baby. I can't leave my kids, my family, my husband. And anyway, after much struggle, it's like a vacuum and it lifts you up anyway. And I got there, and there were 3 gentlemen standing there, and one was like, I couldn't see his face. It was just like a light, an aura, I guess. And I knew it was a male. I knew all 3 were a male, but there was one in the middle, and he had like a beard, and he was quite tall. And he said to me, if you're not, everybody has a purpose in this lifetime. Many people don't even realize what they're here to do, but everyone does. He said, and you haven't realized what yours is. He said, yours isn't just to raise children. That is a bonus in your life. That is a gift we give you. Yeah, that isn't your purpose though. And sometimes I think as women we get lost in that a little bit, like... I
had that very conversation the other day about how, as women, we lose ourselves in the label of motherhood.
100%.
Because we've got this identity around it, which is not a real identity at all. And it's...
Absolutely. And it's, and all these emotions come up, such as like guilt, and guilt like you've never felt before, and all of these other emotions that come along with it. So eventually, over time, this is why women get to a point where they go, who am I? I don't know who I am. I don't know what I stand for. I don't know myself anymore. And that's a great point to get to, but also a very scary one too. Yeah. But it is great because that's when people usually want to do the hard work. Like they want to start to get to know who they are and figure out what's going on. And I think that's great. But it takes, some figure it out a bit earlier, like everything, and some figure it out later. It just is the way it is. But, I think everyone does it in their due time. But anyway, going back to this story, this male said, you've got a purpose, and you've said you don't want to do it anymore. So really we need to take you out of the equation. We need to pull you up. And, if you're not willing to live out your purpose, there's no reason for you to be on earth. And he goes, we've given you many signs. You have not listened. We have, what did he say? He said, we have put it right in front of you, or on a platter, or in front of you. I can't remember if he said a platter in front of you, and you still turned it away. What else can we do from this point? And he said, you must come with us now. Like, that's it. And I said, no, I've got kids. Like, I'm begging. And he said, if you're going back to live for your kids, we go now. He said, if you are choosing to go back and enjoy your children and live your purpose, then I will let you go back. Yeah. And so I had a decision to make in that moment, which was easy, obviously. But,
I'm going to go back and play around in life and have some fun.
It was almost like I paused. I was like, it wasn't that I didn't know what to do. It was almost like it felt like it went forever. And then I said, okay, I'm ready to go back. And he said, don't forget, you never stop living your purpose.
Yeah.
He said, those that live their purpose the most reap the highest rewards, is what he said, or the best rewards, or something like that. And before I knew, I was back in my body. And I woke up, I wasn't even asleep. That was the thing. It was, some people can say it was like a sleep state. I've never experienced anything like it before in my life, Emma. It was terrifying, yet invigorating and awakening. When people talk about an awakening, that was my awakening. I was not listening. I was not doing what I was here to do. And this is why I've come back so much more passionate and so much more ready to... I used to think, oh no, it's salesy to put something in front of somebody. I don't want to feel like I'm salesy, so I don't want to tell them what I do. I don't want to help them. And then I realized, why am I holding back on these people? Like, I don't want to be salesy, you're right. But I want to help people.
Yeah, and if you don't offer it, then...
That's what I was doing. I was holding back on everything. I wasn't offering anything. I was just staying back behind the curtains going, well, if you want a reading, just call me. But I wasn't saying that. I was just waiting there for somebody to call in case they needed me. But I never knew how to put myself out there and say, hey, this is who I am.
Yeah. Have you found over the years, because this is how it's come up for me, so coaching and guiding people has always... Like, I get people that I haven't spoken to in years. It doesn't happen as much anymore because I really own what I do.
Yeah.
But I used to get them on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Random people that I hadn't spoken to for ages ringing and wanting to speak to me.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me about what's happening in life. They didn't know which direction to go in. They needed... And so I would do it because I didn't understand at the time. But I was always a little bit resentful. Like, I don't understand why. It wasn't like I resented them for whatever.
Yeah.
But there was something in me that was frustrated by that. So it's really interesting. And then when I more and more stepped into what I do...
Of course.
I don't get those phone calls anymore. And when I do now... At first, I didn't put a boundary on it.
Yeah.
And I know that you've had this experience as well. And I think
100%.
you're gifted in the way that we are.
Yeah.
That I didn't. I know I would have the conversations. But now I'm actually able to say, hey, listen, if you want to do work around this, I'll send you a link, book a time with me, and then we'll see if we go forward.
Of course.
And so, you know, like you get the people that are definitely... I am ready.
Yeah.
Like, I am done with this shit. I'm ready
100%.
to know and to move forward and to really listen to the guidance and to, you know, find my own inner guidance.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you say that. Do you find that though?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
over the years, have you had to have, like, how's your boundaries around that?
Once I put them up, it was such a relief. You know,
Yeah,
like I was just like, this is just who I am. This is how I work. Like, I used to let people walk all over me and go, I'll do this. And I'd be like, well, that's not actually what I do. But, you know, I'd let people sort of dictate to me what was going to happen and how things were going to be done. And I was like, that
doesn't work.
No, I was trying to please everybody. And I worked out that, and I knew I couldn't. But you still try at some points, right? So I got to a point where I went, I do what I do. I love what I do, and I will go to the end of the earth to help you in your session.
But it ends there.
But that's it. Yeah, there's boundaries, and you know, there's a lot of people that I love, and you know, they will honestly, they think if they book a session, they get you for life on tap, and I just had to cut that back and say, well, that's not actually how I work. I had to honour my work, because if I wasn't honouring me or my work, there was no point in me. I felt like I was wasting my time, because I was like you. I was becoming resentful. I knew I was giving away things and giving away my time and energy, and it didn't feel right. It
wasn't an exchange.
No, and it just didn't feel right.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So, what's been your journey of development? So once that happened, once you went, okay, I'm stepping into this.
Yep.
Had you studied this? Had you, like, gone out and done modality? You'd done nothing?
Nothing.
And I'll keep in mind, Christy's incredibly gifted. Like, I see her at least once a year. And I've had healings as well.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. So then, okay, that happens. What do you decide to do from there?
That was the thing. I sort of stayed behind the curtain for a little while and sort of went, well, if they want to call me, I'll do a reading. That's what I thought I was meant to do. And it was actually my husband. He pushed
Brett's
me.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, he is. And he pushed me, and he would, you know, I'd say, don't worry about it. Like, I just don't have the room to do it. You know, with 4 kids, all the rooms are taken. And, you know, he would make room. He would make special rooms for me so that I could set my crystals up and my bed up and, you know, and do all the table and chair and things like that. And, you know, we built a space in the garage for me that was beautiful. And, you know, I really loved that little space. It was mine. It was something to call mine. And it was separate from the house, but it was also so nice that I just had my space to do my work. And it felt like I was validated. It wasn't just, you know, something I did. It was actually it was what I was passionate about. And, you know, it was all coming to life. And we're building a house at the moment, as you know. And
that's included.
Yeah, well, I said, no, don't worry about it, because obviously when, you know, you're building a house, everything goes, you know, reaches a point where
I can imagine Brett being like, nah.
Yeah, he's like, no, that's not happening. We're getting this room. So, you know, put it on, you know. So I'm like, okay. So, but you know what? I cannot wait for it. I love doing things in person. I can't wait to have that connection, that space to be able to hold the workshops, the circles, the, you know, whatever it is that brings into that space. I'm excited. So I have to give a lot to my husband, because he's pushed me through a lot of barriers that I had, a lot of walls that I had up, and resistance to this. Even after that had happened, it was almost like, well, if I'm available for people, then I'm doing what he said, right? But it was like, no, you have to put yourself out there. And since I have, I think my little group grew from like 400 people to 3,000 now.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just, it was just little bits at a time. My husband would be like, you should go do that. You should go on that show. You should do this. You should do that. And I'd be like, no, I'm not. I'm just me. I'm just little old me, you know, like, but yeah, no, look, it's been a great journey, but it's not been an easy one. It's been hard. You know, you go back and forth. You know, even though I do what I do and I'm great with giving other people advice, I will still doubt myself.
Taking our own advice. Well,
yeah, that's a whole nother show. But yeah, no, it's been a great journey, to be honest. Like, if you bundle it all up, it's been great. But I have to give a lot of credit to my husband. I do.
Yeah, I love that, because I mean, I know Christy and Brett and their family personally, so, and they are a beautiful, connected unit. Like, he is enormously supportive of you, but in turn, Christy's also enormously supportive of him.
100%. We are genuinely best friends.
You're genuinely a really great union.
Each other,
like, it is. It's such a great partnership.
Yeah, it is.
It really
works.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like this little single lady with couple goals. I just added in there, like, yeah, I'm having that. I'll have some of that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, it is. It's a lovely thing, and it's, you know, we support each other in different ways, and, you know, I do thank him a lot, because there was a lot of times where I did want to give up, or it was too hard, or trying to manage 4 kids and work, and I was trying to help him with his work, and it was just all a bit much, and he ended up saying, it's fine, I'll get someone to do mine, we'll work this, always work things out for me. So, you know, it's been great. So when you've got someone like that by your side, it does make things a lot easier.
That is, I do, look, I know that inherently, because we talk all the time, and I love that. Yeah. But I then want to ask, so then you've done Reiki and lots of extra bits and pieces that go onto it.
I definitely love learning. So there was a point there where I did a few different modalities at similar time frame. So I went out and did Reiki, because I heard everyone talking about Reiki, and I'm like, what is this Reiki? And some loved it, some didn't, some were like, and I'm like, I need to know for myself. Like, everything was just a little bit, you know, I wasn't certain on what it was or how it worked. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go do this. So I enrolled at a course, and you know, things pop up when you need them, as we know, you know, the universe's way. And so it was really great. So it came up, and I just went, you know what, I'm just doing it. Like, I'm just going to go and do it. It was in the city, or St Kilda, I think it was. And I just went, you know what, book me in. And I went, and I absolutely loved it. Amazing. I just absolutely, like, felt so comfortable when I went in. It was almost like I had that ability anyway. I just needed a little bit of a freshen up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I had the same experience. The woman that taught me, the woman who taught me Reiki said to me after, because I booked my Reiki 2 immediately. I was like, let me do the Reiki 2. I went in thinking, I'm just going to do Reiki 1, like, I'm just, and then I wasn't even going to do my master, and I got halfway through. No, I didn't even get halfway through Reiki 2 until I said to her, you know, I'm going to do that. And she goes, I know. But the first one was basically like, you know, like, this is quite natural. Yeah. And I went, really? I never thought about that before. I just wanted to learn it for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think ours was 1 and 2 in a long weekend or something. We did it all at one time.
Oh, yeah. Ours was definitely separate, and it was done over 4 days. So that was, I don't think I could have done.
Yeah, it was full on. Like, I remember after my first Reiki class, I actually went home, and I was telling my husband all about it. I was on this big high, and I was like, you know, everything was great. Yeah. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, I was asleep, and I slept all night. Like, it took everything out of me. And that was another thing I had to build up to, is to not deplete my energy when I was helping others with their energy. I felt, you know, at the start I would lose my energy. I felt like I'd have to give others my energy, and then I started to realize, oh, no, you don't. You work with their energy. And this is how, you know, just little things like that where you go, all right, when you tweak that, it works really well. So, you know, just, it was interesting. So,
yeah, no, I've definitely found that over the years, like understanding that actually it's got nothing to do with my energy at
No,
all. And once you
no.
connect into the other person, it's
Yeah.
interesting, like what happens. Some people will be super tired
Yeah.
afterwards. Some people will be
Yes.
like, oh my
Got
God.
a spring in their step. And,
Like they've had 50 cups of coffee or something.
Yeah.
I had the same experience after Reiki though. I came home and was just like, oh my God, and buzzed around for a few hours.
Yep.
And then once I'd done that, I thought, I'm just going to lie down.
yeah, that's a mistake that I made.
I woke up the next morning just going, wow, that's
Yeah.
like a 9-hour, that's a lot of sleep for me.
Yeah, same. Exactly the same thing.
So I was just like, but I was ready for the next day. And
Yeah,
when I went in
yeah.
there, I was like, oh my God.
Yes. I felt very fresh the next day. And I remember after my Reiki, I actually came out and I found my kids found a bird that was like, looked like it was dying.
Oh.
And so we put it in a little container, and it was my husband that said, why don't you do Reiki on it? Like, you just learnt Reiki, like it was only days before. And he's like, you just learnt Reiki. Would Reiki help the bird? And I'm like, I don't know, I'll give it a go. My first Reiki healing was on a bird. Oh no, my husband had I think one every night. But yeah, my first, like, other than my husband and my family.
Yeah, Brett is a bit of a Reiki lover.
Oh, he's a good, like, he's
Give me
he's
some Reiki.
Yeah, every night he's like, sore shoulder, I've got a bit of a headache, I'm like,
My 9-year-old's like that. She's always like, can I have a little bit of Reiki, Mama?
so are all my kids. I'm like, forever, every night, at least I get 2 people asking me to do it. I'm like, guys, seriously, I haven't sat down. Like, give me a break. Been working all day. So yeah, they would have it every night if I gave it to them. So
I love it.
So I did Reiki on this bird, and I was sort of like, okay, I was sort of like trying to remember all the symbols and what I needed, and I'm like, just follow your gut, Christy, just do what you do. And all of a sudden, literally, like, it was like watching a miracle. It was like within, I don't know, 5 minutes after doing the Reiki, the bird just like looked up at me, like its eyes were shut. It was like this, and then it just looked up at me, looked away, and flew. We were all like, my mum's like, my daughter's like, Mum, you've saved the bird. I'm like, oh, like, and that's when I realised it's actually quite potent and powerful. I knew it worked, but to watch that, you'd think this little bird didn't have a lot of time left. And
Yeah,
it was
and to
beautiful.
say that people have to be receptive of it.
No. Well, they
As in,
do,
if they're in
but-
resistance.
Oh, resistance.
Yeah, sorry, they have to
yeah.
be willing to receive.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and so obviously the bird was willing to receive.
Even though it didn't know what it was receiving, it knew. And the way it looked at me, Emma, it was almost like I'm good, thank you. Like this, I don't know, it was just a special moment. I'll never forget it. And even though it seems pointless to somebody else, it means so much to me. Like, I don't know, it was amazing.
But that's life, though. It doesn't have to mean anything
Oh, of
to
course,
anyone
of
else.
course.
It's just
Absolutely.
your own perception and how you choose to,
Yes.
absorb it into your own life and
Yeah.
welcome it.
But it's something I'll never, ever forget.
That is beautiful, though.
Yeah.
I do
It's
love it.
awesome.
I Reiki my car quite
you?
yeah, all the time.
Oh, I've never done that.
Yeah, I get in my car and literally put like a Reiki bubble around it. And seriously, it's very rare that I have anyone say anything to me on the road or anything happens or, stuff. So it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I remember taking my car to get serviced one day and I'd had a bit of a noise in it.
Okay.
And the guy said to me, okay, it was a semi-major thing that had to be fixed.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't know how when did the noise start? I said, about a week and a half ago. And he said, I don't know how you've driven in here.
Wow.
And I thought, and I said to him, I Reiki my car every day. And he was like,
It's a normal thing.
yeah.
Everyone.
And he just like looked at me and he goes, Reiki. I go, energy healing. And he goes,
I love that.
Oh. It was so funny
is
though.
funny.
But he was literally, this is a few years ago now, but he literally was like, like,
Wow.
Michael, it's energy. It's it's all energy.
Yeah.
I
love that.
How do you switch it on and off? Because I know, for me anyway, I'm still in, very, channeling and baby stages. It was actually really hard at the beginning.
Yeah.
When it first started to happen, like I'd be sitting with a friend and suddenly I'd just be like, bam, I've got to tell you this stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's different. Like I can read whether people want to receive. But how do you? Because
It's
you're really
interesting.
dialed in all the time.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's not something that infiltrates my life where I'm like, oh, I've got a message for them, or I've got a message for them. It's just, I don't know. I think that it seems to be, it's hard to explain, but it's almost like when I've got a message, I know that person wants it anyway, but I did set my boundaries. So my boundaries are with spirit is that a candle needs to be lit, incense needs to be lit, one of the two, or both, and that's my time to work. So, or my salt lamp. They're the three things that I set intentions around. This is my time that I want to connect with you. So I had to set my boundaries because spirit always wants to connect with us, right? And their boundaries, they don't always set them. And it's like, you know, when they're earthbound or when they're spirit bound, it is, you know, the same sort of thing. You're going to have people that have boundaries and respect them, and you're going to have people that don't, and spirit's the same. So for me, I feel that, you know, you do get some that'll try and come through, but that was only at the very beginning. Once I decided I'd set my intentions and my boundaries, and I set an intention before every reading, whether it applies or not, I set, every now and again, I'll say to spirit, like, remember, boundaries are candle, incense, salt lamp, okay? Any of those turned on, I am ready to connect with you, and it works. I don't know. I just, you know, it's not to say I won't get a message outside of that. I always say to them, unless there is something I really need to know or somebody around me really needs to know, this is how we work together, yeah? This is a mutual respect. But I'll still get messages through. Like I've had messages through for random people at supermarkets or shopping centres, you know, but it's not all the time. People go, you're so normal. I'm like, I don't know what they mean by that, but I think I'm supposed to look like a witch or something. I don't know, but
yeah, actually, my daughter said that about me the other day. She goes, "You're the unwitchiest looking witch that I know."
Right.
And she said, "But you do own a black cat, Mama." And I'm like, I did choose her, and her name's Raven. So
oh, there you go.
Yeah, I understand that. Like people just
I used to get told all the time, "You're too young. You can't do psychic work." Like, well, I've done it since I was born, so yeah, I can. Wow. Since I could talk, I knew, you know, other people, my mum knew I could do it. So yeah, it's not something I mean, people can get taught how to do it, I guess, to a certain level, but I think we all definitely have intuition. That's something we are all born with, no doubt about it. It's what we choose to do with it and how much we choose to trust it. Yeah.
Look, I totally agree with you.
It's the awareness of what comes through. So your signs won't come through the way my signs will. So I can't teach you. I can give you tips and what I do, but you'll ultimately find your own way. You know, you'll ultimately find your own, you know, like my sign for diabetes is jelly beans. Don't know why.
Ah.
When I see a soccer ball, it's my dad. I automatically go, oh, we're talking about their dad. So I have different ways of messages coming through. So it's not always literal. Sometimes it's metaphorical. So they'll give me like little, you know, symbols that make me understand it better. So I know soccer ball is my dad, but it took me a little while to get there. I'm like, do they play soccer? And they'd be like, well, yeah, but I didn't know what else to say around it. I was like, just keep saying a soccer ball. I don't know. And then I realized I went, what is this? One day I just sat in meditation. I was like, what is this soccer ball meaning? Like, tell me, I don't get it. And because it was just for this one particular client that I'm talking about, referring to, and that's when I heard it's a symbol for your dad, because my dad played high level soccer, and so it was just a symbol to say her dad's in spirit trying to connect with her. So now I know, and I've known for the last 20 years, but when I first started when I was young, I couldn't figure it all out. So the literal meanings were fine, but spirit connect with you in metaphorical ways as well. They'll give you like little signs and symbols, and it's like dreams. They don't always mean exactly what you dream. Sometimes they can have a bigger meaning behind it. Same with signs, awareness, symbols, you know, all of that sort of stuff. It's important to be so open so you can actually see what other possibilities are out there. So.
I think you're right. Like I do like getting onto that point that you've really got to trust your own intuition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that comes up a lot with me for clients. It's just a lack of trust.
Yep.
So
it's one of the hardest things for us to do as humans.
Yeah, and we're born with full trust. We have to, because otherwise how on earth would a baby be looked after? How would a toddler be taught? How would, you know, all that stuff? We absolutely are born trusting completely.
Yeah.
And it's
experiences and conditioning.
It's dialed out of us, you know, like, or dulled down. Mm-hmm. It's not out of us.
No, we still trust certain things, but, you know, to trust ourselves is a big one that we struggle with, I think. We can trust others easier than we trust ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not so much for, I guess, you and I.
No, but
I understand what you're saying, though. That's a big thing out there. People not really... Yeah, and I find that a lot. That's one of the biggest reasons people
Oh, absolutely.
Come and see me.
Yeah, of course.
It's just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Actually, you do, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And it's interesting, people, they don't even realise it half the time, they don't even realise they're not trusting. They're like, but I am. And I'm like, no, you want to. Yes, I'll give you that. You want to, but you're not.
No. So then what does healing offer your clients? Because we've spoken about cards, and that's obviously a great amount of guidance.
Yeah, I guess the healing aspect is, I always say to people, I use the Reiki principle. The principle of Reiki I use. But somewhere along the way, I've never just done Reiki, and I don't know what I do in the healing aspect. I just know that it's an energy exchange, and I help people with anxiety, stress, pain, discomfort, disease. People get pregnant, all of those sort of things, stress levels, anything that someone's holding energetically within the body, within the mind, the soul, or the spirit. I help adjust, shift, and move. And then what we do is we rejuvenate that energy, not giving them mine, but giving them their own, or universal energy is what I call it. And it's almost like magical energy. So it feels, so what I think of it is when I take the energy out, I almost feel like I've left them with a void, because they're so used to having that there, right? We're creatures of comfort. So no matter how much it's been in there or how long it's been in there for, and as women, we hold it in our tummies mainly. And so let's say we're holding a lot of emotion in our tummy around some grief that someone experienced in the past. They've got it shoved right down there because they don't want to feel that again because it was painful, right? So then all the other bits and pieces, just a little mild, then a big whopper, and then there's a couple other little things throughout the years. And that grief gets buried deep, deep down. And then it's almost like I go in and I almost perform like an energetic surgery. I actually cut open the wound, go in, pull out what I need to, find it until I, fiddle around until I find it. And then I'm energetically pulling it out of the body. And then I feel like if I leave them like that, they'll feel off balance when they, if I just do it all back up. So I give them universal energy. So I shake energy into them and I allow them to have a few moments to absorb that, and then that's when they feel really good, is because they've got rid of that heaviness, that weight, that that horrible feeling that they're holding, and a lot of people don't even realize what they're holding on to, or that they've held on to it until you pull it out. So I'll be like, well, I got this, and it's around when you were 22, there's this and this that's coming up around it. They're like, oh, that did happen. Well, I thought that was, I've never thought about that. And I'm like, yeah, but your body's still held on to it. You've buried it so deep, it's not in the thought base. It's in your body, though.
You got to feel it to heal it.
True. And, and then what comes of that is pain, discomfort, disease, illness, stress levels, all of that sort of thing. People going, I don't know why I feel this way. I don't know why I'm going through these hormonal imbalances, or whatever the case is. And this is always because of energetic, holding on to those energetic blockages. And so I always think of it like maintaining your car, just like our bodies need to be maintained. Those energy wheels that we have in our bodies need to be firing on all cylinders. And when they're not, and one gets blocked, it just starts a domino effect over time. And so for me, I just feel like I help people release and lift it, because a lot of people don't even know what they're holding on to. So how do they pull it out of themselves? How do they go, well, I don't want to carry that anymore, but I don't know how to shift it. That's where I can step in. Here we go. Let's get it out. Let's put some magic in there just to heal, and just keep working with your body. And then I always say to people, now it's yours to choose whatever you want to do with it. End of story. That's it. And it's that simple. And it, like you say, some people walk out because they're so exhausted and tired throughout life that their bodies are, I always say, listen to what your body needs. If you feel tired afterwards, it's because you need sleep or rest. If you feel like you've got a spring in your step, that's what you've been lacking, and that's what you're in need of. Your body needs what it needs. If you crave green apples, go and get yourself a green apple. Whatever you need, whatever you crave, your body is talking to you. Yeah. It's just time to listen. And now you're a lot clearer because you don't have all of those blocks within. So you're going to hear your body. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had quite a few clients recently that have said to me the next day, I'll check in. Hey, how you feeling? Yeah. And they've said to me, I cried a lot. Yeah. Last night, Emma. And for them, it's kind of like a weird, I don't even know why I was crying.
Of course, yeah.
And I said, that's okay. Your body's got to release what it was holding on to.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting for those people that are just like...
They have no idea.
Oh, my God. I mean, one woman, probably about a year ago, said she just went and argued with everyone for a day.
Oh.
And she said, I didn't even know what I was arguing about.
Yeah.
And every time I'd have an argument, I'd walk away, walk back into the room and go, I don't even know why I'm arguing. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
She said, but I felt better after every single time. And I said, well...
That's
you were holding a lot of frustration in your body over and she knew what it was, but she said, I can't even believe.
But do you know what I think that is too? Like, I'm tipping she would have liked to have been in control, or she was sort of like one of those people that, you know, liked to know what was going on, because you would have taken out what you could, but she also needed to let it out.
Well, what we did was shift from masculine to feminine energy. So we balanced her body in that. So for her, she was just releasing some masculine that was still kind of like in there. So it was really interesting. But I agree with you, because it was a sense because masculine energy does like control. It does.
Of course, it's the action base. Yeah, it's like control base.
Tick the list. And when she couldn't, so I do love that. Like just the different responses.
And it would have been hard for her body to let go of that masculine, because it's so used to it. And that's the easier one to be in, because we can get things done as humans.
I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that anymore, though, because the more women I work with around it, the more I'm understanding how fucking tired it makes you. I did it for years. I was in my masculine for years.
Yeah.
I had no idea how exhausted I was until I tipped the other way and went well into my... And you would know a couple of years ago, I wasn't really getting a lot of stuff done, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Because I was so in my feminine that I was like, oh my God, look at that flower over there. And just, you know, had no structure. But I needed to be out of balance.
Yeah.
But I had so much more energy.
Yeah.
And then I went into a phase of trying to come back into balance, and I slept a lot.
Yeah.
And now being in balance... I'm so energized. I don't need as much sleep. You know, like I'm really, you get to listen to your body so much more. But yeah, I don't know about that. Like I think when you're in balance and in the right energy that you need to be, and I'm not saying for every woman you need to be fully in your feminine. Don't get me wrong. I fully encourage it though, because it's very helpful.
Yeah.
But you'll feel an aliveness. Yeah. And there'll be a sense of balance within you. And for every woman that we've shifted from moving from the masculine into feminine, there is something...
Do you move them fully though, or do you balance them out with like a 70-30 or a 60-40 or a 50-50?
I don't look at it like that at all.
No, I don't mean you look at the figures exactly, but I'm saying, is that how... Like, how do you look at that?
It's about aligning them with their feminine. So then they would come back into what's feminine for them, what their feminine energy feels like. And the balance, there's no figure, because... There's times when you'll need to draw in masculine, and for however long that you need to actually be in that space.
Yeah.
But the balance is about knowing how to use the energy and understanding what it feels like to be in one or the other.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so it is about balance.
Yeah, I think it's about getting comfortable
and awareness.
In both. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even for men,
100%.
You know,
men think they're meant to be in that masculine because that's how they're born.
Well, it's a false masculine that they're in at the moment, though. You'd have to agree. Like, it's not actually masculine energy.
No,
because their protective nature is one of nurturing, not one of power.
Of course, but they're told they're conditioned to be a certain way, and it's so hard to bring them back to that point of they're actually a lot more feminine than what they do hold a lot of feminine within. They just don't know how to show it on the external. So that's why they feel so resistant to that change, and they just keep going and action, because then they don't have to worry about the feeling part of it. So, you know, for me, I see so many men that are just so confused, and I love helping men because you see the biggest transformations for all clients, but for men, because they're not always open or receptive to it initially. And then their wife might say, you need to go get it, like it'd be great, or a friend might say it, and then they come and they're like, thank you so much. I feel like myself for the first time in a long time, and it's so good. I love that.
I get the same thing, which is amazing, and seeing them come through to the side
fabulous.
Of being able to sit in themselves, and it's a really beautiful
I'd like to work out a way on how to bring more men into that space, you know.
Yeah, I'm still figuring that out in my mind too. I don't necessarily think it's me. I think it's about collaboration.
Yeah.
So if anyone does see this and is a male and thinks, right, we're in.
Yeah, we're in.
We're in.
Totally. It's one of my things that I'm drawn to do at some point, like if not now, but whenever. Like I love that aspect of it.
I agree. It's because I'm often told by other people, just work with women, you know, like I do work with women really well. However, it doesn't feel super like just totally natural for me because, you know, working with males in their energy and moving them through
and people are people,
from a coaching
right?
aspect. Well, no, but I can work well with, as you would, because we're aligned in our energy. You can work well in either one.
Of course.
And so, because it's not actually our energy that we're working with, you're just helping them come to balance.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I do, I love that. Because there's a lot of that around. Just focus on women if you're a woman, and just focus on men if you're a man.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
You know, I think as long as you're aligned in your purpose, then
we can all help each other.
So what are some of the main reasons that people come to see you?
I think mainly guidance and clarity when people don't know what to do or they feel like they've come to a crossroads. They've got big decisions to make. They want to know which way to go, which one's best. Obviously, if they want to connect with spirit, do a mediumship reading, they can also, you know, some people just want that. Some people want guidance. Some people want decision making done for them. I don't do it for them. I just give them guidance for them to choose, but I guide them in the right direction, I guess. So pretty much you give them the answer without giving it to them. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of different things. Like some people come to find their life purpose. Some people want to find why they're learning the same lessons all the time, why the same patterns come up for them. You know, love is a big one. Like, is this the right person? When will I find love? Work, career, finances, stress, houses, kids, pregnancies, so many different things. It's so, because I'm doing so much more now, it's so much more expanded. Like the reasons are so much more. There's so many more reasons.
Yeah, I can feel that.
So, yeah.
So I want to, because you're starting to move more into helping people spiritually develop.
I love running workshops, and whether you call it circle or workshops, I think workshops, because there's learning involved in that. So they obviously receive information for them to help learn and grow. But I have a lot of women coming to me lately and saying to me, I know I've got it, I just don't know what to do with it. Like, how could you do some one-on-one with me, or can you do this with me? And I just thought, there's so many of them, why don't I just run a little group sessions, you know, and help them in a group setting, you know, maybe 5 to 10 or whatever. So that's what I've decided to do, and I love running workshops because there's a lot of play in there. You have a bit of fun, you know, you learn something, then you give it a go and practice it and sort of have a bit of fun with it. And then most people leave feeling quite amazed with what they've actually just achieved. Like, they're like, did I just say that? Did I just do that? Oh my God, what, is that me? So yeah, you get a lot of that. So, which is pretty special because it's them realizing their own gifts, their own talents, their own, you know, amazing energy that they've got to offer the world. You know?
Absolutely. I often say that to people, like, you're special, I'm special, but everyone can connect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone can connect, and everyone can draw on their own innate divine wisdom. It's just
that's what makes us all very, very special. Like, when we have doubt, it just puts so much of a dark cloud on it. Whereas if we lift that, there's so much light underneath that. And I always think you'll never know unless you give it a go. Yeah, like, really, you'll never know.
Always.
Like,
You've just got to try.
Just see what you're capable of. Why not trust if you could utilize your power to the best possible, point that you could use it to, what is it that you can create? What is possible? So many different things. Yeah. You just open up so many different doors. So that's where I love helping people. Just see what if there was 5 possibilities, not just one? What if there was, this option that you didn't think of, or what if you could actually create that? Because I always say to people, you can only do what you're in control of. So if somebody else is controlling that situation and you feel out of control, what is it you can control? You can control your manifestation power. You can control your ability to send energy that way, to change things around. You might not be able to go in and physically do it, but what if you could do it from a distance? And so you wanted this house and you went, I want to rent that house, but there's 30 other people there. Okay, you might not have control over the decision, but what if you had more control than you thought? What if you could do some things at a distance to actually enable and open that up to you. Why shouldn't you get it? Just because there's 30 others or 20 others, 30 other people, you're just as good as anybody else. So what if you put your power and your energy into that? What can you create? It's just playing around with that stuff, People think it's all so serious, and sometimes we need to remember we can have fun with it. It can still be serious, and you can also have fun with it as well.
Yeah, what you want can be serious, but the playfulness that goes on with it is part of it.
Yeah, of course, 100%. And it's like, and people want and need more fun. So if you could play around with your gifts, and when you do decide you want to take one more seriously than the other, or, there's some situations that call for serious nature, and there's some that, you can just play around and have a bit of fun. Why, that's where the balance is, I guess, just figuring it all out in time, in due time. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves sometimes.
We do. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves for things having to happen within a particular time frame. I'm speaking about myself.
Yeah. And I did too. Like, I would give people readings, and then I'd want to know, like, did this happen? Like, what if that doesn't happen? Oh my God, what if this? And see, once I let go of worrying about if it did or didn't happen, because I'd hold on to so much stress, and it'd be like, I haven't heard from them, maybe it didn't happen, maybe that wasn't a great reading, maybe that blah blah. This is a long time ago, but once I actually let go of that and went, I actually can't, because then I'd start hearing, oh my God, this person referred me, they said you're amazing, and I'm like, oh, I never heard from them. They said I was amazing. Like, I don't know what that person's taking. So now I've just let go of all the judgment and all the worry that I was holding on to that was actually holding me back. That loss of control. Like, what if everyone's different? So it's like everyone's reading's different, and, at some point you just got to trust.
I think at every point you need to trust.
Yeah.
So I want to do the final final 3 questions.
Sure. Go for it.
So what is well-being to you?
Well-being is putting yourself first and looking after yourself in ways that you haven't for a while.
Oh, I love that. What are your must-do daily well-being practices?
Must-dos daily is I sit with my crystals and call in whatever I need or whatever I want for the day. I set a couple of intentions throughout the day, and I allow myself at least 15 minutes a day just to be.
That's delicious. And what impact does it have on your life?
What impact having those practice? Yeah. Well-being, it's really been an interesting journey, and I think that sometimes especially as mothers, we're so busy looking after and taking care of others. When you start to put yourself first, you realise you can do that in a much, much bigger, realm of things. It's like you can do things on a bigger scale, and you can help people in different ways, and you can do it all. But yeah, I would say that it has helped me be a better person, a better mum, better wife. And it's really opened up my awareness as to my power, but also those around me. So it really allowed me to be so much more grateful for what I had. Rather than trying to race through the days and get things done, I now feel like taking those little bits of time and that little bit of energy to focus on what I do have, it really does make me much more grateful.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love you. And thank you so much for the time today. Thank you so much to everyone for sharing your beautiful time and energy with us. And please just stay with the next little bit now. That'll have Christy's contact details and how to get in contact with her. But it is it clarifymyjourney.com.au?
Yep. Yes, it is. Yes,
clarifymyjourney.com.au.
I went into my email then for a second. I don't know what I was doing, but anyway, blonde moment. But yeah,
I love it. So yes, and stay with us now. That'll be up there, so you can get in contact with Christy. Absolutely amazing, very beautiful readings, healing, and all things clarifying your journey. I love it.
Thank you.
So I'd love to hear your comments below, and please like, share, and stay with us next time, and we'll see you on Connected Conversations. Mwah. Bye. To connect with Christy, head to clarifymyjourney.com.au. To connect with me, head to emmamuir.com. Enjoy your day, and thanks for sharing your time.